Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week of Wednesday Night Dash. My name is Eli Singh, and I'm so excited to join you guys here for our very first season in some new cars at an amazingly fun track. This is the Lime Rock Park GT3 Sprint, presented by iRacing's Garage Talk here in Lakeville, Connecticut, at Lime Rock Park Historic Raceway. This is one heck of a track, and obviously, you guys could probably tell through my voice, I am beaming with excitement. Those of you guys that do not know, I am personally a bit of a road racer myself, and I love this track. I love these cars. I love everything that we've got going on this season, and I think you guys are all going to love it too. It's going to be a blast. Let's talk a little bit about Lime Rock before we get in there, as our drivers are in a qualifying session right now with 7.5 minutes yet to go. Lime Rock Park opened in 1957. We've got 1.473 miles with the chicanes, 1.53 miles actually. A very notable corner is that uphill chicane. Right there, it's turns 5, 6, and 7 behind Big Bend. It's a crazy course. A lot of elevation changes. It's surprisingly quick, especially when you're going down that bottom straight known as Sam Posey. Drivers will be cranking it into 6th gear quite potentially, as the diving turn right before it is oftentimes taken flat out or dang near it. Definitely watch out for action and crashes around turn 7 up the hill. Cars do get light and lose a little bit of grip over that hill as well. This track has just hosted so much historic, amazing racing. It currently hosts the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship and has hosted in the past the Pirelli World Challenge. And obviously, it's just got such beautiful scenery, as we're going to see in a second, with many fans and drivers alike citing the picturesque New England countryside as one of the track's major attractions. Though our major attraction tonight is all of our drivers, and let's take a look at those drivers. We've got a couple returning champions and a couple rookies coming in here for Season 6 of Wednesday Night Dash. Tyler Vickery and Colton Gardner, returning champions from seasons past. Along with them, we've got Eric Richardson, Hunter Hughes, Mark Vickers, Brian McKinney, DJ Fluke, Justin Nieves, Eric Blum, Scott McCarris, and some rookies. Welcome into our new drivers, Mr. Andrew Hewitt and Ian Miller. We're very excited to have you guys. Well, speaking of stuff to be excited about, take a look at this schedule we've got. We've got Lime Rock Park tonight. Next week, we're going over to Road Atlanta. The week after to Watkins Glen, one of my personal favorite racetracks in the world, followed by my literal favorite racetrack in the entire world, Laguna Seca. After that, we're on to Virginia International Raceway, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, then another week off. I forgot to mention we have a week off in between Road Atlanta and Watkins Glen, but a second week off in between Mid-Ohio and Redskogen, which happens on June 14th. And our season finale here for Season 6 will be on June 21st at Daytona International Speedway. Another fun fact about Daytona, I happen to actually have won a race at Daytona, which I'm very excited about. I won the 24 hours myself. Getting in the driver's seat. I don't just talk good, I also drive good sometimes. Well, speaking of people that drive good, let's take a look at our amazing sponsors, Eric Richardson, DJ Fluck, for the iRacing Garage Talk podcast. This week, join hosts Eric Richardson, driver number 13, and DJ Fluck, driver number 88, as they recap the weekend motorsports from Formula One, IndyCar, and NASCAR down to iRacing and Wednesday Night Dash. New episodes air Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/FRRacing online, or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. And of course, we also need to give some love to our friends here at Stadium Scene TV, specifically our House of Hockey friends. This week, Breezy and Ray discuss the NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs 2023 and the fate of the New Jersey Devils with guest Christy Flannery. Christy is a credentialed sports writer and storyteller covering the New Jersey Devils for the Hockey Writers, is a member of the Professional Hockey Writers Association, and host of the podcast Stilettos and Stouts. Christy discusses why the Devils will and won't win the Stanley Cup this season, the team's secret sauce, bringing Luke Hughes to play with brother Jack, and insight into the local fan base. Tune in at 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on Stadium Scene TV. Now let's take a look at something that we have to talk about for this season. We've got some new rules here, as this is the very first GT3 series we've had here at Wednesday Night Dash. Session rules, stuff to pay attention to. The drivers must select from the following GT3 cars. We have the Audi R8 LMS, the BMW M4, the Ferrari 488 Evo 2020, The BMW and the Ferrari are personally some of my favorites. The Ford GT, which has been around for many years, it's our oldest here on the potential list. Lamborghini Huracan, the McLaren MP4 12C, one of the other old ones. Now the newest option available out of the GT3s is the Mercedes AMG and the Porsche 911 GT3R. We have a 15-minute open qualifying session, which is going on right now with about 3 minutes left to go, along with a 45-minute timed race. And one big difference with this series than we have seen in our other Wednesday Night Dash series is we do not have a full course caution. No competition caution at all. The main reason for that is this is road racing. And in road racing, stuff goes wrong like crazy, and you've got lap cars that actually play a big factor into it, and it's a lot of fun to kind of see the action that happens with the lap cars. So I'm really quite excited for the no more competition cautions. It's going to make a big difference, I think, in the standings and kind of how the races are going to play out. Now, tonight we do have a pretty solid host of drivers. We've got 9 drivers competing with us tonight, and I think all of them are going to be having a great time with the very first GT3 race we have here for Wednesday Night Dash. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those drivers here out on track right now. As of right now, we've got Hunter Hughes holding down a potential pole position to 51-second lap, 51.649 to be exact for you, but his best looks like it's 51.544, but it was invalidated, so his best valid is a 51. Oh, now it does show. Actually, he just threw it down. Great lap from him. As we are looking at these drivers to qualify, let's go ahead and take a look actually at somebody who I know to be quite quick in a road car, Mr. Hunter Hughes. Let's take a look at what he's got here as he's going through his qualifying session. He's coming up turn 7. That's the infamous turn 7 that I told you guys about where people get loose. One of the differences about this track that we have is we just saw them, we saw Hunter Hughes go through one of the corners. This layout only has one of the chicanes. So if you can look in that bottom right corner of your screen, you'll see turn 8. There is a layout in which you actually dive a little bit farther than where it ends, and it goes just about like 30 feet back, and it creates like an extra little chicane section in the back. We decided to not run that layout. This is the Grand Prix layout that we are running, the most commonly used layout actually in sports car racing as well, as the chicanes around turns 5, 6, and 7, which we're coming up to right here, were added in to slow down the cars coming up this uphill, because the uphill was just so dangerous.
Check.
Now this track also, fun fact, happens to be a favorite place for the Skip Barber Racing School to go spend some racing instruction time. So if you happen to watch anything from Skip Barber Racing School, you might see them here at Lime Rock Park. Another fun fact actually about Lime Rock Park, back into the world of real racing, outside of this virtual world, which we're going to come back to in just a second, is that we have a new series entering there that just came in last year and will be there again this year. It's a Lime Rock, or it's not Lime Rock, sorry. It's a Grid Life. For those of you guys that like good grassroots motorsports, go ahead and take a look for that at Lime Rock. But much more importantly is this virtual racing we've got right here. And Hunter Hughes right now still sitting at that 51.539. I can tell you one thing, that's a pretty darn good lap, but Tyler Lugo Victory, who is looking to get a potential championship win, is sitting right behind it at a 51.673, only 1.3 tenths off. The gaps right now are very tight as we're coming down to the final lap for everybody. If you do not have your lap started by now, you're not going to get it. It actually looks like we're just going to go for a straight checkered flag, so that might be our qualifying done and dusted, with Hunter Hughes currently in the lead, Tyler Vickery in second, Ian Miller in third, Mark Vickers in fourth, Colton Gardner in fifth, Eric Richardson in sixth, Justin Nieves in seventh, and Brian McKinney holding it down in eighth. Oh boy! So far, a lot of fun to watch. As you can see from this mixed TV camera, you can see the cars that everybody's chosen, and this is something that I am personally extremely intrigued with, and I'm excited to see how it's going to make a difference in the racing today and the season to come. This Ford GT that Tyler Vickery has now put himself on pole with by 2/1000ths of a second. Last minute pole lap from Tyler Vickery. What a lap. We're going to watch the final driver come across the line in a second. In the Ferrari, it's Mr. Brian McKinney. Great lap from Tyler Vickery. Wow. He is the only one sitting in the Ford. very interesting choice from Tyler Vickery. It is not a traditionally picked car, so I'm curious as to how that's going to help him out in this season. I honestly, so I do a lot of personally GT3 racing myself, and I almost never see somebody running the Ford. So either that's because the style of that car and its fixed setups just really seem to mesh with Tyler Vickery, or he's trying to prove a point that he can be fast in anything. Now, a couple other drivers to pay attention to when it comes to their car choices. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these guys. We've got Hunter Hughes. Oops, this is a terrible camera angle. There we go. We got Hunter Hughes sitting in the Porsche.
Back,
Ian
everybody.
Miller in the 48 car.
Welcome back. Reminder,
Looks like he's
there
running
is
the
no competition, caution.
the Mercedes, which I personally am a big
Sorry,
fan of.
Hunter again.
Mark Vickers in the Ferrari. Look, you'll notice a lot of Ferraris out here. Mark Vickers, Colton Gardner, Eric Richardson, Brian McKinney, DJ Fluke, all in the Ferraris, with Justin Nieves also rocking a Porsche today. I personally think that the Ferrari is going to be the best of
Let
the
great experiment
cars.
begin.
Now, will it actually be the best of the drivers? That is yet to be determined, as right now, obviously, Tyler Vickery is starting us off in the lead with the first pole position of the season. Let's go ahead and take a look at our pole sitter as we're about to go green flag racing. The pace car is in. Get hype. The lights are on. Green flag will be waved in just a couple seconds. We are off here racing in Lime Rock Park for the season opener here of Wednesday Night Dash. And speaking of dashes, look at Tyler Vickery making a dash down into turn one, looking pretty solid. But leading up behind him is Hunter Hughes. Ian Miller still in third. Mark Vickers in fourth. Colton Gardner holding down fifth. Eric Richardson stays in sixth. There's some tussling going behind. There's a Mercedes and a Ferrari battling. The Vodafone Mercedes of Ian Miller holds off the Ferrari of Mark Vickers for now as they go into turns four. And they're looking pretty single file right now. The back, though, being held up by Mr. DJ Fluke. He's having a good time back there, just there for the sport and the fun. Just kidding, he's there to get some wins here this season. And look at them roll through the chicane. They're looking pretty tidy, but speaking of not so tidy, Justin Nieves taking a bit of a wide line in the 5. Seems like he recovered it just fine. The drivers are flying, and remember, like I said, this is a bit of a flat-out section right here. The drivers, oh, we got a spinner. It's the Porsche. Almost gets collided by Ian Miller. Hunter Hughes making a mistake, and the Porsche of Hunter Hughes has dropped down to the back of the grid after a simple mistake goes wrong. And that is all it takes, ladies and gentlemen, for there to be some shakeup here. Hunter Hughes from second place where he was sitting, now pedaling up the back. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened to Mr. Hunter Hughes right here. It looks like he, on the gyro cam, let's take a look. Looks like he's coming down. Looking pretty solid. He's going to go on a diving turn and just gets a little squirrely. Just a bit of an honest mistake. And that's all it takes. And you can see the rest of the cars fly by. Let's go ahead and take a look back at our leader right here. Tyler Vickery holding down the lead quite solidly. But Ian Miller and Mark Vickers right behind him having a little bit of a tussle. Ian Miller off. Obviously, he's on hold off right now, just trying to hold them down. The 88 car of DJ Fluke looks like he's actually fallen back even farther. He's gone down. He's barely even getting through West Bend right now, way at the back of turn 8. But remember, this Mercedes-Ferrari battle right here for second and third place, the two other podium spots besides the winner, it's looking pretty tasty. Mercedes getting pressured by the Ferrari right now. Ferrari looking for a move on his way into the chicanes. Obviously, it's not there quite yet. The best spots to be making moves to be coming out of the chicane. If you get a really good run, you can definitely make a dive into turn 8, and then obviously, into turn 9, especially into no name. If you're, or not no name, excuse me, diving. If you're really fast, you can do it. But if you don't have quite that good of a run out of 8, then it's pretty hard to make a pass. There's another spot right here into turn 1, definitely a pretty solid passing opportunity, but it does not seem to be an opportunity that Mark Vickers is able to take right now, as he's stuck behind Ian Miller. 1.8 seconds on the relative between the two of them. Definitely enough of a gap to hold him back for a little bit while longer. But it seems like that Mercedes, its straight line speed, is being able to carry it away pretty well. Obviously, look at the way that the Ferrari handles the corners significantly better. There's some pressure for that Mercedes, but then as soon as they get to the braking zone, the Ferrari has to back off a little bit. And remember, oh, look at that, actually braking into the chicanes. That's looking like Mark Vickers feeling held up by Ian Miller. And as you guys can't quite see it, but the deltas, the gaps between them and Tyler Vickery up front are just growing every single corner. And so the longer that Ian Miller and Mark Vickers fight, the farther away that Tyler Vickery can run away with this lead. Farther down the grid, it looks like that is the closest battle that we have right here. But let's go ahead and give some love over to the 82 car, Mr. Justin Nieves, in the all-black Porsche, chasing down the Ferrari of Mr. Brian McKinney. Luckily enough, we don't have anybody stuck in the pits, which is pretty happy to see. Actually, looks like Hunter Hughes, in his ridiculous pace, has already caught back up to the back of the grid after the spin on lap 1. Holy smokeroli. He is flying, that's for sure. And he is trying to put some pressure on his fellow Porsche driver and might be going down the inside on his way into the chicanes. He will make a pass on his way into the chicane. Early moves right there from Hunter Hughes, trying to salvage this race the best that he can. Now he's got to get in front of Brian McKinney as quick as he possibly can. But Hunter Hughes obviously going to have some work to do here on lap number 5 if he wants to get it done. 52-ish laps likely to happen here tonight, as this is a timed race rather than a lapped race. So we're not going off of distance covered, which is usually how you get your lap counter. Instead, we're going to be going off of just the clock. And the clock says 45 minutes is how long we got to get this action done. And that means Hunter Hughes only has 40 minutes left to get this comeback going. And right now, he's already up on the back of Brian McKinney. You can see the raw pace that this Porsche can develop. He is rapid around Lime Rock Park. Maybe even going to make another move down the same corner that he made his move last time. In fact, he will. It's a deep dive there for the Porsche. He's going to make it done and dusted very easily. The Ferrari of Brian McKinney giving him all the room in the world, and Hunter Hughes passed another one back on the charge to get back up closer to the front. It's very, very tight. It is. Up in the front, we got Ian Miller into the pits. Hold on a second. I'm not exactly sure what happened to Ian Miller. Did he have to run into the pits? It looks like he's blinking, blinking, blinking. Oh, no! There's a crash here for Ian Miller. He was holding down second place. He had gotten pressured again by this Ferrari, but look at him. He goes off right there.
Back on the track.
And flies, back into the wall. Big hit. Ian Miller, that car is crushed for sure. Gets back onto the track a little bit awkwardly. And obviously, the blinking is definitely not helping. So he's going to go into the pits. He serves a repair, puts on some new boots. He's stuck in there for a little while as he gets lapped up by Tyler Vickery and Mark Vickers. Mark Vickers, though, now that he is free, he can chase down Tyler Vickery, who seems to be, having a little bit less race pace than he did the qualifying. Speaking of qualifying versus race pace, right now Mark Vickers just set down a 51.6, his best lap of the day, which was a whole second faster than the leader, Tyler Vickery. So this gap is closing very quickly. Speaking of a gap closing right here, it's Hunter Hughes chasing still. Eric Richardson not that far away from him, just a little bit over a second. Let's take a look at this from his cockpit view so you can see exactly the kind of speed he can put down. And let's walk you guys through a lap as we're coming over the chicanes. My Lanta Lordy. He can put it down, can't he? Uses the understeer from the car to his advantage as he comes around that second to last corner. This is the final corner. So let's take you guys through a lap here around Lime Rock Park from the POV of Hunter Hughes, our current hard charger, trying to charge his way up through the field after spinning. He brakes very early, tries to keep it tight through the first half of the corner, swings wide, and then cuts back in for a tight apex to close out that corner. Into turn 2 he goes, into turn 3, excuse me. Cuts over the curb just nicely on the right side. Cannot go flat out for the right half of that corner. Turn 4. Goes to the bend right here, otherwise known as no-name straight, no-name bend, into the chicanes. Avoids the bump on the right side, avoids the bump on the left side, and avoids the bump again on the right side, though I think he could have caught a little bit of those bump curbs. The sausage curbs aren't actually quite as unkind as they look. You can see the exit pace he has over that Ferrari in front of him, that's Eric Richardson, is quite significant. He is flying as he comes out of these corners. This is the corner that messed him up last time, but now it's going to be a pass right here, and that is going to be Hunter Hughes making another move. He gets through Eric Richardson. Nothing he could do. Hunter Hughes passed him into turn 1, And that's Hunter Hughes up into 5th now. Sorry, up into 4th, excuse me. And charging his way through. The 3rd place driver right now, Colton Gardner, only a couple 100 feet away from him. And as a delta time, it's just about a 1.5 to 2 seconds away. So the charge is on for Hunter Hughes. Back up at the front. Those who are charging is this guy right here. Look at Tyler Vickery under serious pressure going in to the downhill bend. The diving turn number 9, our final corner, is looking like it might be contentious on lap 12, as we are, or sorry, here on lap 11, as that's going to be a pretty good passing opportunity for the Ferrari. Now that Ford, I know, has some serious struggles in the straights compared to the Ferrari. The Ferrari has surprisingly quick top-end speed. So this is something that that Tyler Vickery is going to have to be really well aware of. He needs to make sure he gets the best exits possible out of all these corners. Because that Ferrari looks like he's gaining on him so quickly. Almost nothing that Tyler can do to defend. Look at that. Even the Ferrari's checking up in the middle of the chicane just to make sure he doesn't tap the rear of the Ford. It is crazy how fast he is. It's a bit of a Ford versus Ferrari moment right here. Literally hearkening back to that amazing movie if you guys have seen it. These are actually two cars that are, ironically enough, both inspired by the cars that were used in the Ford versus Ferrari movie, which is quite poetic. The Ferrari 488 GT3, and obviously this Ford GT, inspired by the Ford GT40 from the movie and the times. And there's the flashing go on. Mark Vickers is upset. He says, let me through. Tyler says, no, 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 you're going to have to get around fair and square. And it is a tight, tasty battle right here. There's going to be an inside move right there from the Ferrari, almost certainly down to the chicane. I expect to see a dive. He doesn't have the room for it. Tyler Vickery defends beautifully and holds him off for one more lap. Now there's a car off right there. It is a off-track car. It looks like DJ Fluck has went ahead and let the two leaders go on by as he went off track into the chicanes. And the Ferrari's still looking for the outside line. Remember, the exit speed is going to be crucial here. The Ferrari's going to have a way better exit out of this corner, I guarantee you. And we might see a pass going in to turn 1. If we're going to see one, it's going to happen soon. There it is. There's an inside lunge. And the Ferrari's going to just barely stick it. The Ford has to go super wide. But the Ferrari of Mark Vickers has passed through. Will Tyler be able to catch a switchback? No, he won't. And he has to relegate the qualifying champion. The pole sitter is now not sitting in first. He's sitting in second. Mark Vickers, though, going to be under pressure again into the chicane. Just kidding. Tyler Vickery got a bit of a bad exit out of 4. And has to relegate. Let the Ferrari stay in the lead for now. But it may only be just for now. As they are coming up across another lap car. Let's say Justin Nieves, who they're coming up against next. And then Ian Miller pretty far ahead, but will eventually become a lapped car. Unfortunate for Ian Miller. He started out the race so great. But unfortunately, because of that little crash, it's all kind of gone downhill. Now, let's take a look at how Mr. Mark Vickers can navigate the traffic that he's got. That's a seriously hard thing to do when you're in a GT3 car, to get past lap cars. You don't have any assistance of speed like you would in Formula 1, like a DRS or ERS kind of function. It's just raw mechanical power and grip. A little bit of aerodynamic from those big wings, but that's about all you got to get past. Now, that's a very kind move right there. Very good gesture from Mr. Justin Nieves. He lets Mark and Tyler both go through. And we're back on to lap number 14, about to start lap 15. So far, been a bit of a tasty race, if you ask me. The top 5 drivers still on the lead lap. Brian McKinney also on the lead lap, but only just. He is really struggling for sure. He's getting caught up by the Mercedes Ian Miller, who had a really great qualifying. I also add Ian Miller set it, if I recall correctly, in 4th in qualifying. Now he's trying to just recover this this race for himself. 35 laps to go, give or take about 32 minutes left to go, which would make sense for about 35 laps or so. And so far, the story has been Mark Vickers versus Tyler Vickery. But right now, Tyler Vickery actually losing lots of time to Mark Vickers. It's still just barely within a second, but I use that word barely with a little bit of lax, because it seems like Tyler Vickery is seriously getting out race paced by Mark Vickers. And who would have thought that going into today's race session? He qualified himself in 4th. Right now he's sitting very comfortably in the lead with 1.5 second gap over Tyler Vickery. Now Tyler Vickery and Mark Vickers are just miles ahead of the next driver, being Hunter Hughes, who, like I said, has just been on recovery. He is sitting down some pretty crazy good laps. He does currently have the fastest lap of the race at a 51.5. 0-1, yeah, also. But he isn't necessarily gaining on the top 2 guys. It looks like he's actually kind of losing out a little bit of time to Tyler Vickery and Mark Vickers. Hunter Hughes throws out a 52.391 that lap, which is not going to cut it if he wants to catch up. Tyler Vickery and Mark Vickers just put down 51.9 and 51.8 respectively. Just 4 to 5 tenths faster than Hunter Hughes. And Hunter Hughes needs to find another level inside of him if he wants to catch up and get back up to the action. Mark Vickers diving through, diving turn. Looks totally comfortable right now, doesn't he? 2 seconds ahead of Tyler Vickery. Almost nothing that Tyler can do to answer this this gap that he's got for himself. It's been pretty big. Now, of course, anything can happen in the, give or take, just over 30 laps that we have yet to go. There could be some spins, crashes. In fact, there actually is an off track right there. It looks like the number 8 car, Brian McKinney, had gone off. I wonder exactly what happened to him. Oh, Brian McKinney actually having a bit of a big off right here. From his cockpit point of view. It's a little squirrely coming around 2. And into 3. Almost touches grass. Goes wide on the exit of 3. And once you touch that grass, the car's off. Lucky it was not a bigger crash into the wall. That could have gone significantly worse. Good on Brian for getting the car slowed down and avoiding anything super major. Let's go ahead and take a look at Justin Nieves, who hasn't gotten enough love, in my opinion, from us today. He does get passed up by Eric Richards, or by Colton Gardner, excuse me. Justin Nieves and Colton Gardner are the ones that you see charging down right there. That's Colton Gardner in the front, Justin Nieves in the black Porsche. Livery-wise, let's go ahead and take a look at all of our liveries we've got for the day today. My personal favorite, I might have to give it to Brian McKinney. I really like the car color that he's chosen. I think this car is beautiful, but also, I mean, Hunter Hughes. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous car he's fashioned for himself. This blue Porsche. Look at the way that thing, just the lines on it. It's pretty. It's very pretty. Outside of that, I think Tyler Vickery has a pretty cool livery. Don't get me wrong. This is an interesting camera angle right here, especially with it being, you know, I think it's inspired by the Spitfire car, or the Spitfire jet. Very USA themed. I'm a fan of it. Right now, it's not bringing home the glory for USA, as it's still sitting in second behind Mark Vickers. Now a huge gap between the two of them. It's 4.1 seconds. Mark Vickers holding down his Ferrari number 84, looking really, really comfortable here at Lime Rock Park. Seems like nobody's going to be able to get a chance to touch him. I think he's feeling like he's definitely in his element. Now, this is one thing that I actually did not know about Mark Vickers, was how good he is in these GT3 cars. He seems to be extremely confident in these things. And, you know, to be fair, it is only 9 corners, but because of the fact that it's only 9 corners, if you get one of them wrong, it makes a big difference. And it seems as if he has not yet put a foot wrong. He stayed pretty cool, calm, and collected since the start. And I personally don't expect that to change at all anytime soon. Now, it does seem like I have a guest here in the booth. Is that Mr. DJ?
It certainly is.
Oh, well,
I was
hello
about
there.
to say, let's not do the announcer jinx on him.
Yeah, that might be some commentator curse coming in right there, but let's hope it's not. He has been absolutely dominating so far. I am extremely impressed. Have you been kind of watching his performance so far? DJ, I'm not sure.
I have, yeah, I have actually. Mark raced with us in the Daytona 24-hour back in January and did a phenomenal job. He really likes these cars, and when he likes to get up and stream at like 4 in the morning local time on a Saturday because he has young kids. That's the only time he can do it, and
Really?
I credit him for waking up that early. He has a new baby in the house too, so he's probably up anyway now.
Yeah, that's true.
but
Yep.
but he. Yeah, this is his bread and butter. I think we should see a strong performance this year from him,
Yeah.
or this season rather.
No, I think it's quite impressive. You know, obviously we looked at the qualifying positions. He only put himself in 4th. He wasn't too far behind. It was only, separated by a few tenths, the top 4. But, looking at his race pace comparatively to, say, Tyler Vickery, Tyler just had a howler of a last lap. He lost 7 seconds. But it just seems like he's significantly less consistent. In fact, it looks like Tyler Vickery may have actually just lost up in position. Oh, Tyler Vickery has a spin. Tyler Vickery really looking like something may have gone wrong here. Very, very weird spot for somebody to have a spin. Oh, the car seems to be pretty messed up. Oh, he must have had a big crash. What are you thinking? Oh, he did. DJ, if you're watching the broadcast, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at Tyler Vickery. Let's see, he comes down, diving turn, goes onto the grass. Oh, and that is a recipe for disaster. Tries to catch it back, careens into the pit wall, and he's too far in front of the pits, so he can't go into the pits. And it looks like that's gonna be Tyler Vickery in his car, severely damaged, and it's gonna have to limp it back to the pits. In fact, he's spinning a couple times. He goes ahead and takes the tow. That's Tyler Vickery entirely out of contention for the win, which puts Hunter Hughes.
It looks like Eric Richardson had a incident going into 1. He's moving slow.
Oh man, yeah, this track it bites you surprisingly. I mean, you'd think that with only 9 corners, there isn't much that can go wrong, right?
This place is sneaky tough. I mean, it looks, they put this on iRacing. They send you out here in the Formula Vs, and it's like it's a rookie track. It's a rookie track. No, it's challenging. It's definitely challenging.
Yeah, it definitely is. It teaches you a lot about racing, etiquette and technique, which is why Skip Barber Racing uses this track so prolifically to do a lot of their training. Because you kind of have to try every single kind of cornering situation here. Uphills, downhills, blind corners, very visible corners, awkward chicanes with bad bumps on the inside, curves you can cut, grass on the outside, tight walls tight on the outside as well. Basically everything you can think of, you'll get here. Which I think is one of my favorite things about it. What are you liking so much about this track?
Oh, I just love the view when you're coming off of Big Bend and you start to head into the track. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, this would be an amazing place to come and race, or at least watch a race at.
Yeah, many people actually say that is one of the biggest things that they like about this track. Ironically enough, it's actually surrounded by a bunch of forests and rolling hills. So if you're not just a racing enthusiast, but you're also a nature enthusiast, you'll have a good time here. Lots of camping, not too far away from this racetrack. Might not be the quietest camping in the world, but it definitely is some good camping if you like the scenery. You're not too bothered by the sounds. Well, one thing I do want to point out, though, Tyler Vickery is 2 laps down from the lead because of his pit stop that he had to take. He is catching up to Hunter Hughes and trying to unlap himself. Hunter Hughes, after that crash at the start, has somehow found himself into 2nd place. With all the other drivers besides himself having been lapped at least once. So Mark Vickers and Hunter Hughes, the only drivers in the lead lap. Oh, Tyler Vickery, huge crash. Whoa. Oh my, wow, that was a big one. He comes out. He's following Hunter Hughes. He's coming down. Diving turn. Gets a snap of counter steer over a bump. Then diving turn, and he spins it and turns it into a Beyblade. Looks like that's the race over for Tyler Vickery, as I don't even see him in the session anymore. Did he disconnect?
I believe he disconnected.
Oh no. That has got to be heartbreaking. After putting it on pole, he is out of the race. Less than just about halfway through. Wow. I could not have called that one, even if I had a crystal ball. There's no way. That's crazy. Now, one thing I do want to mention, Hunter Hughes, though he hasn't necessarily been gaining, he definitely hasn't really been losing time to Mark Vickers by very much. So he's still about half a lap away from Mark Vickers. So technically the comeback is potentially on there. Now, DJ, when it comes to pit stops and stuff, are these drivers going to have to refuel?
It's going to be close. I think so. I can't speak for all the cars, but definitely the Ferrari comes about 7 or 8 minutes short of being able to go the full distance.
Now, I'm wondering if maybe some of these Ferraris are trying to go with a bit of a fuel save method and pump that clutch in. You know, the only spots you can really do that when you get slow enough is maybe into the chicanes. But since iRacing actually did a pretty recent update on the clutch, you can't pump it in unless you're going, you know, I think it's below 40 miles an hour. It's going to be pretty tough for them to do any fuel saving. DJ, when you were doing the Daytona 24 yourself, do you remember you or any of your drivers just dumping the clutch while you were on the straights to coast and save some fuel?
Oh, don't credit me. I didn't do any of the driving. I ran the 24-hour stream, which was pretty crazy. But I'm not sure. You know, the team we had was Mark, it was Hunter, it was Eric Richardson, and Andrew Hewitt, who's supposed to be racing with us. I'm not sure where he is tonight. You know, we've told this before. Andrew lost his team like 3 days before the event.
Yeah.
We lost our fourth driver that we entered 3 days before, and worked out.
Yeah, I was excited to see him race tonight. But hey, we'll catch him next week. Next week's going to be a really fun round 2. Out of this calendar that we've got for this season, which we'll go ahead and remind the audience what we've got for this season, which one are you the most excited to see? Are you looking at Road Atlanta, Watkins Glen, Laguna Seca? Which track are you the most excited for this season?
Well, if my season goes like it did tonight, I'm looking forward to the checkered flag at Daytona.
I think it's gonna recover. I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think you're gonna end up having a pretty good second half of the season.
I tell you, I mean, it's, you know, I don't have a lot of seat time in these cars, and it's, you know, I've done a lot of practice. I've done, you know, the AI racing, and it's just I haven't been able to translate my practice out onto the actual race, and that's been my biggest struggle.
Now, I know you had mentioned that you just recently got some new equipment as well. Do you feel like that has helped your at least enjoyment of the racing, and then also your consistency, or do you think it's not really made much of a difference?
I mean, it definitely has more of a realism feel to it. You know, switching to that Formula style wheel, especially in this type of racing. You know, getting away from the full round steering wheel is, you know, it definitely, you know, it makes a difference, especially with like the immersion and actually feeling like, you know, you're driving that style of car.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, you know, hopefully that immersion starts, you know, translating more into pace as well for you, because I know you definitely want to have, you know, better results than you did tonight. Tonight just happened to be one of those, as I call them, character building days. And I did hear a little bit of fence crunching. Someone's car hit a fence.
Mark Vickers is entering the pits.
Hey, he's gonna have to pit. Okay, so that will cause some interesting strategies. Hunter Hughes. Remember, Hunter Hughes obviously crashed on lap 1. Oh, wow, hiccups. Hunter Hughes crashing on lap 1. I don't know.
He is not pitted yet.
Yeah, he has not. So I'm wondering if he's also going to be taking a pit. And if
Ian
not
Miller
now,
and Ian Miller and Brian McKinney also haven't pitted yet either. So that'll be interesting. Everyone else has at least one pit stop in.
yeah, Hunter Hughes stays out, so he'll be finally leading a lap of this race. Starting on lap 33, his first lap lead will come here. So, all right, Hunter Hughes is now a lap leader here for Season 6. You know, he was one that I was also really expecting to do quite well this season, so it's good to see him sitting in second. Definitely pretty unfortunate how the race started for him. I think without that spin, he would be, you know, kind of shaking it up with Mark a little bit better. I think because the fact that that happened, it's probably just kind of set him off the pace a little bit, and he just maybe hasn't been able to fully recover back to full pace. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I happened to catch the end of his accident, and he came right back up and passed me on the next half a lap, which shouldn't surprise anyone at this point. But he got right back up to speed. He's running 51s, low 52s, and I'm not surprised he pulled his way all the way back up to second, actually technically first again. But
Yeah.
he's very very impressive run from him tonight after that slow start.
Yeah, it definitely has been. Now, speaking of something interesting to just note, it looks like he's going into the pits now, having trouble finding his pit box. He found it finally. So he's going to get some pits and get some fuel. It looks like tires. I don't think he needed the tires. I don't think anybody really needs the tires. So that's something for them to notate going forward. In a 45-minute race, you'll almost never need tires in these GT3 cars. So that's something that everybody will probably have to change and change their default option on. Is getting rid of that automatic tire replacement. Usually these tires can last about 55 minutes pretty consistently on almost any track, if not longer, if you're not just totally destroying them. Some tracks that, they don't quite last that long would be a track like Sebring. They definitely don't last that long. But here, they'd be fine. So now we've got Hunter Hughes back in second. Mark Vickers back in the lead after the pit stop strategy has worked out for him. His undercut, obviously quite successful. Looks like he's got a huge gap, actually, on Hunter Hughes. I don't even know if that's accurate.
50, yeah, his last lap, 51.683. Man, right out of the pits.
On cold tires. Now, I'm not sure if he changed tires. That's probably that's probably part of it, is that he maybe didn't change tires. Because if you have cold tires, you're not doing a 51. I don't care what kind of alien you are. That's not happening. A 53 is pretty reasonable on cold tires. But a 51 is nuts on cold tires. So let's see what Hunter Hughes can get done.
I think I may have just noticed. I think his helmet is an eyeball. Have you noticed? Am I seeing that correctly? Have you noticed that?
I haven't paid attention to that. I think I may have to put it on the far chase camera and take a look to see if I can see it.
I mean, maybe I'm just seeing things, but to me it looks like an eyeball.
It definitely does it? Hold on a second. That absolutely is an eyeball. Wow, that's quite something.
I was about to say, you see that coming up in your mirror, you better get out of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of looks like one of those eyeballs from an anime show where the eye shoots a laser. That's the vibe that I get out of it.
I mean, he's driving this car like he's shooting a laser. I mean, he's just flying.
Yeah, he's unstoppable. In fact, he just put down a 51.478 his last lap, and he puts down a 51.373. He is ripping in this Ferrari with 12 minutes to go. He wants to, win this thing beyond a shadow of a doubt and absolutely thrash the competition. As of right now, he's definitely gotten that done and dusted. He's 40 seconds ahead of Hunter Hughes, who puts down a 51.6, which is a great lap on cold tires. Don't get me wrong. But it's just not fast enough to catch back up. Hunter Hughes is right now coming down the diving turn onto the Sam Posey straight. Flying into turn 1. Himself puts down a 51.788. One of his best laps of the race so far, but just still not quite good enough to catch up. Farther down the grid, it looks like nobody else is really within contention of each other. It's just about pit stops that's going to be making the difference this late in the race. Those who had to make some early pit stops for repairs might get saved by the fuel. But I really don't know who that would be because there's been so many little incidents here and there. Can you think of anybody that's had to make an early pit stop, DJ?
Eric, Justin. I think
Yeah.
Colton had a fairly early one, but it's Ian Miller still has not pit, which I'm kind of surprised. He's got to be close to running on fumes. I don't know what the mileage on the Mercedes is, but if it's anything close to the Ferrari, he should be on fumes now.
Well, the Mercedes actually seems to be able to, for whatever reason, run extra long on a fuel tank. Now, obviously, the fuel is limited in this series, correct?
No, we left it on the default.
Left on the default for the fixed setup?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that means that he'll probably be going in pretty soon. He did have to pit earlier. Ian Miller had a bit of an incident where he smacked into the wall pretty hard. He drove it back to the pits, so he didn't have to tow.
Oh, interesting. It didn't credit him with a pit in the scoring, so I guess he did pit. So he should be good to the end.
Yeah, he probably will be. I think he had his pit stop maybe around lap 10-ish. And so, yeah, that would definitely put him, should be sizable up to the end. It looks like there's a car off, actually, right in front of Ian Miller. Looks like it could be Colton Gardner or Eric Richardson. Eric Richardson, actually, I think.
It is Eric Richardson.
And he's slowly inching back on the track. The problem is, where he went off, it's such a treacherous spot to get back on the track. You have to be so deliberate. Otherwise, you're going to cause a little incident right
Oh,
there.
yeah. I almost caused one earlier. That's part of the reason why I pulled off. It's just too much of a liability out there tonight, but I was trying to get back on the track, and I spun my tires and slid out. And fortunately, there was enough space that everybody got around me safely. But don't want to cause an incident in the first race.
Yeah. Well, hey, someone who has been having a bit of trouble right here. Oh, that's Eric Richardson making a bit of a mistake right there. He thought that he could spin the car around by slamming the throttle, but the traction control in this Ferrari is just a little bit too good. Instead, he just smacks his nose off, and he's going to have to go into the pits for a repair. As he spun going up the chicane. Bit of a whoopsie moment right there. But it happens to the best of us. Now Hunter Hughes chasing down the back of a lap car. It looks like it is Brian McKinney, who's going to try to get in front of as soon as he possibly can. You know, these moves that I've seen a couple people make into the chicane are so brave. You got to have a lot of faith that your outside driver, the person you're making a dive on, is not going to turn in on you, because if they do, they're putting you right on top of that Sasha's curve, and it's going to hurt your suspension pretty bad. And maybe even unsettle you into the wall. So it's kind of smart that some of these guys are waiting until, you know, maybe turn 1, turn 2 to make the moves. Looks like Hunter Hughes is going to get one on the outside into turn 1, assuming that McKinney yields. Now, when it comes to the blue flags, though, here, DJ, you'd be a good person to ask about this. What are the rules/etiquette for the blue flags in GT racing within Wednesday Night Dash? Because they are oftentimes a little bit different than many other series.
I mean, we left it up as an etiquette thing. There's no formal rule that you have to get out of the way, but it's advised. We'll leave it at that.
Yes, that makes sense, yeah. That's usually how a lot of people, you know, that's how most series run it within GT cars, because the cars just aren't fast enough to force a pullover like you would see in, you know, maybe a Formula series, like Formula 1, 2, and 3. But they definitely are still pretty quick. Now, these GT3s... for those of you guys that are kind of curious about how GT cars work, they're about that upper mid-tier of GT cars. You've got GT4s, which are a little bit slower. GT3s, obviously quicker. GT2s, which aren't really used very much. And then GTEs, which also are now being retired out of the WEC world. But those were a little bit faster than these GT3s. So these things are no slouches. They're pretty darn quick. As much as we may talk about how they're a little bit slower than Formula cars, they're still fast. And they can bite, as we saw on that lap 1 from Hunter Hughes, having a bit of a mistake now. Like I mentioned, he just isn't really catching up too much. He only gained a 10th on Mark Vickers that lap, and he's 41 seconds behind. Do we think, DJ, in the next 7 minutes, are we going to see Mark Vickers?
Nope, don't say it. Don't say it. I am staying quiet.
He does not want to commentate curse, huh? That's fair.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
You know, I would love to. Obviously, I know you don't want to comment on it, but I'll comment on it all day long. I would love to see it, just because of that dominant level of a win is going to get all the drivers up in a frenzy about how fast he was, and they're going to have to really put down the practice and put in the miles to catch up to him and his pace. He's just been a class of his own tonight. If we're taking a look at the standings, from the stuff that I can see, the lap times that he's putting in are consistently 1 to 3 seconds faster than the rest of the grid. It's nuts. He is absolutely on fire. Now, obviously, this is
one thing. Sorry, one thing to note this season too, because we don't have a competition caution or a stage break. There's no stage bonus point for leading at the stage, so instead we give a bonus for the fastest lap. So Mark is currently on pace for that.
Mm-hmm. And if he didn't get that, I would be so surprised if somebody comes in and swoops that 151 or that 51.302. Hunter Hughes is not too far behind it though with his best lap that he had of the session. It was a 51.336, only lost that by 0.03 of a second. So it's pretty tight. And Tyler Vickery, while he was running, was at a 51.59. So he wasn't very far behind it either now. I am just curious to see how the pace continues to develop for Mark Vickers. It's less than 15 seconds of a gap between himself and Hunter Hughes. It's getting close. Oh my gosh. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Mark Vickers, you say he does a lot of road racing. DJ, if I was to try to find him on a random official session, which session do you think I would find him in the most? Would it be GT3 racing, or do you think it would be something like a GT4 or an F3?
It's usually GT3 racing that I've seen him on. He streams under his Twitch account, and you got it right there on the car. Sloppy Drunk Dad, check him out.
Yep.
Like if you're up at 4 a.m. Pacific time, you'll catch him, which is 7 a.m. on the East Coast. That's not too bad on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, it's not too bad, especially for our European fans. It's midday. That's perfect timing. Now I do see that somehow he only has a 1200 I rating. I don't see how, looking at these lap times.
He's had some unfortunate moments, some bad luck of being caught in the wrong place at the wrong time type of things.
That makes sense. Yeah, I was gonna say, looking at not just the lap time itself of how quick it is, but it's the consistency for me. That, in my opinion, is what makes such a good road racer, is if you can just put it in lap after lap after lap and keep it right up on that, within a couple tenths of each other. That's what makes a really, really good road racer. And he has hardly missed that step. He's had a couple tiny little missteps where he's maybe lost half a second here or half a second there, but outside of that, it's been basically smooth sailing from start to finish. It's been right up on the same time. So.
Ooh, we had Justin and him had a little bit of a close call there. Not too bad, but
a little bit over a blind corner. It's a scary spot. Justin let him through, but I don't know if he was really expecting to be let through right there, which is probably what caused the near collision. But as of right now, it shows we have just about 4 laps left to go here at Lime Rock Park, and so far, it's been this man who's just put it down. Obviously, he had some troubles with Tyler Vickery at the start, and he had to, get in front of Ian Miller as well. But once both of them cleared out of the way, it was smooth sailing for the past almost 30 laps. He's been leading for quite some time now. Hunter Hughes obviously has been having the best recovery drive that he possibly could, but it has not yet been enough to get himself that top step. But looking like it, if this race still finishes as it is, it's Mark Vickers to Hunter Hughes to Colton Gardner to Ian Miller.
Can I shout out Colton here? I mean,
absolutely.
He was our season 5 champion in the Cup cars. He said he's not a turn right guy. He's not had a lot of drive time in these types of cars, and he's out here running on a podium position right now. He's got about a 8-second lead over Ian Miller in 4th. He's a couple laps down, but impressive first run from Colton Gardner.
Yeah, you say a couple laps down. He's actually only 1 lap down, so it's really actually not that bad. Especially given the fact
I do see that now. Yes,
given the fact of the speed that Mark Vickers has put down, like being a lap down from that is really not that bad from how tiny of a track this is. It's only 1.5 miles long. It's a tiny lap time. We'll see lap times, upwards of almost 2 minutes at some of these tracks we have on this calendar. So, yeah, he's done a really good job. That's a really good point, and thank you for giving him the shout out, because for a lot of these drivers that don't like turning right, as you say, it's a hard muscle to learn to understand, undulating corners and trail braking. Oh, trail braking. That's a gross word for a NASCAR driver. So, he's been doing a great job. I must agree.
And also Ian Miller, our rookie of the league this year, or this season rather. I keep saying year. It's season. This is the second season of the year. He's had a very, very impressive 4th place run. He had a couple early incidents, but he's run really well in the second half.
Yeah, without those early incidents, I think he would have also really been able to challenge Colton Gardner for that podium spot, and potentially even Hunter Hughes farther forward. Now, he was the one who was fighting it with Mark Vickers at the front. He was holding back Mark Vickers at the start. It was when he went off that allowed Mark Vickers to unleash and start his serious charge. But the thing is, though,
Mark just got the white flag. White flag for Mark.
Oh, wow, already. Yeah, it looks like he did. I was going to mention, the thing is, Ian Miller was the only one who could hold off Mark Vickers. But obviously, nobody could hold off Mark Vickers for long enough as he's coming down turn 4 into the no-name straight. The slight kink into it, up into the chicane. And we're going to ride alongside as he will be crowned, assuming everything goes well for the last 3 corners.
Oh, you're going to jinx him. You're going to jinx him.
He'll be fine. Looks like Mark Vickers has just had the race of a day, of a lifetime. This is something he can go home and brag about.
There you go,
There's
Mark.
The checkered flag.
Mark, I don't want to steal from
excited.
I don't want to steal from his attention, but Mark, in our very first race ever at Daytona, ran out of fuel on the turn 3 of the last lap while leading. This is a long time coming for him.
Yes.
Congratulations to him.
Big win. The flashing lights, he was moving around all over the start-finish straight, too. He was doing a little bit of weaving to celebrate. That's a huge win for Mark Vickers. And Hunter Hughes, only a couple corners to go himself, to get home in 2nd place for Hunter Hughes. Great run from him. And remember, as we were, lighting him up, Colton Gardner has already passed the line in 3rd place. Congratulations to him. Ian Miller will take home 4th. Brian McKinney takes home 5th. Justin Nieves takes home 6th. And Eric Richardson takes home 7th. Amazing.
Traction control, and you can do donuts in them.
Also, for those that are wondering if you can do donuts, just go into the grass, and you usually should be able to get them done. They just don't really work very well on the road because you can't really turn off traction control.
Congrats, Mark.
There it is.
Nice job, Mark.
He gets the donuts done. Oh, man, he must be stoked.
Weak donut. I'm going for it, baby.
he finally gets his moment, and he has to do his burnout in a Ferrari.
Of course. Hey, you know what? A burnout's a burnout, regardless of the car that you get it done. And that was great race from him. Well, hey, let's go ahead and get some interviews going, because I want to say hey to all 3, Colton Gardner, Hunter Hughes, and Mark Vickers, if we get a chance. So let's see if we can get them in here. Obviously, Colton Gardner, he's one that I really want to chat with. But right now, we've got Eric Richardson, who just jumped in the booth, I see. Hello, Mr. Eric. You going to join us for some
Hey,
for some
how's
interviews?
it going?
Mark will be over in a moment. He forgot to open Discord.
No worries. Let's pull in Colton Gardner first. Oh, just kidding. We didn't even get him to that, because we got Mark Vickers in here, a race winner. Hello, my friend.
Hey, you got me?
We got you great. How you doing?
Good, man. How about yourself?
We're doing great. It looks like I can actually hear a little bit of an echo from you, too.
Yeah, I think he might have his Discord button and his radio mapped to the same
worries.
button.
I can live with the echo. I went ahead and turned it off in the stream. My man, what a race from you. You were lights out the fastest driver on track from start to finish. Obviously started out in 4th place, though, so you had to do a bit of chopping. Tell me about those opening laps and how you got through it.
Yeah, just trying to stay out of trouble, trying to save the tires. I knew I could get to the front. It was just a matter of how many laps and how I was going to cook those tires.
Yeah, obviously these tires, with GT3 cars, especially when they're cold, they really hinder your performance. Me personally, I find myself really scared of a cold tire when I'm in these cars. You seemed like, especially when you came out of the pits after your pit stop, you were just right back on track. Did you go ahead and take tires, or you decided not to take tires?
No, I took tires. I actually almost looped it coming out of the pit going into turn 1.
Yeah, those cold ones definitely will get you, won't they?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I was also quite impressed by just the level of consistency. You seem to only have a couple laps where you really had some little mistakes here and there, but there were never any big ones. Talk to me about that consistency. Were you putting in a lot of practice going into this race, or did you just happen to kind of find the flow state?
I mean, actually, I'm surprised on how well I did. I have a 5-week-old right now, so it's been, just a little bit of sleep here and there. So I maybe got about an hour of practice between like last Monday and yesterday.
Well, it sounds like you got to keep that going. No more than an hour allowed for the next next few rounds, because obviously it seems to have worked out pretty well for you now. Lime Rock Park, a lot of tricky, challenging spots, and I noticed that when you're being held up a little bit by Ian Miller, he went off right around that no-name straight area coming out of turn 4. Once he was gone, did you kind of feel like floodgates are open, I can charge now, or were you trying to charge before he had gotten, had fallen off the track?
Well, I was just waiting to see what he was going to do. I could see he was getting a little squirrely here and there. So I just figured, I mean, it's 45 minutes. I had so much time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that was very smart and very patient of you. You drove an amazing race, and that win is extremely well-deserved. Congratulations. We'll go ahead and let you go for the night, but, my man, take care.
Sorry,
obviously.
real quick. I want to just say, Mark, I wouldn't let him jinx you in the booth tonight. Because
I appreciate that.
We know how close you've come several times now, and we mentioned Daytona and everything, and it's just awesome that you finally broke through and got that win.
Yes.
Yeah, it took me 35.
But that's all right. You still got it done. That's what matters. But man, I'm excited to see you again next week. Next week's going to be an amazingly fun course. I know you said you're only going to put in about an hour's worth of practice, but if I'm being honest with you, Road Atlanta deserves a little bit more than an hour. Those blind corners will definitely get you. So I'm going to say,
yeah, I'm definitely gonna do my best.
Yeah,
we'll see what the baby lets me do.
Of course, yes, of course, they're always in charge. Well, my man, like I said, great racing. I'm excited to see you next week, and have a wonderful rest of your night.
All right, awesome. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Let's see if we can pull in. I look like we actually already have Hunter Hughes. Mr. Hunter, you can go ahead and unmute. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
What recovery from you after spinning on lap 1, coming back and finishing in second. Holy smokes, you were really flying for that first stint after that spin. Tell me about that. What exactly happened?
It was, honestly, I think it's just the Porsche tire model. It's the same thing. That was the turn that I was the most afraid of going into this, because the amount of times I looped that turn in the exact same way I did. I'm so glad, though, that I just kind of slid and stopped and nobody else hit me, or I didn't smack the wall. So I was able to only go to the end of the line, which I drove through. I was driving like a peed off teenager, though.
Yeah, you were definitely flying. You started pretty quick.
Like, it kind of stinks, though, because I wanted to compete with Tyler and Mark, and I saw them together pretty much most of the race until Tyler had an incident, which I didn't know about. But yeah, I wanted to compete with them, but there's always next week.
Yeah, that is true. Speaking of which, next week I made a comment about this already, but next week is Road Atlanta, a bit even more of a technical track if you could find that, I would argue. Going into Road Atlanta, what are you going to try to improve to try to get that win next time around?
I think it's mostly, I think for me, my issue is exit speed. I think I'm pretty good entering the corners and through the corners, but just exiting, I lose so much time exiting corners.
Yeah, that actually brings me very conveniently to my last question, which is about your car choice, specifically the Porsche. It's actually notorious for being very difficult to get the power down on exit because of just how, I guess, vibrant the rear end of that car is. And so that being said, and we're running on fixed setups, there's no real way to tune your way out of it. How do you think you're going to be able to maybe make up for that deficit that's kind of built into the car?
Well, I decided to go with the Porsche, and actually the livery that's on my car is because The real life car, the Wright Motorsports number 16.
Yep.
I saw them win the 2021 Rolex 24, and then when they came to Mid Ohio, I saw them in person. So me and my girlfriend have found like a fan, like we become fans of that car.
Oh, that's cool.
So, I've always wanted to I like that car brand, and I've liked that car brand for a really long time.
Yeah.
But the way it drives, what I appreciate about the way that it drives is since it's a bit smaller and a bit lighter than the other GT3 cars, I can throw it into the corners better.
Yes.
And make it stick, but it suffers on exit. So.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's
and
something
I feel like
felt with it too.
Yeah, the fixed setup kind of ruins it though. It's hard to manage the fixed setup because that was what another issue I was facing tonight is.
Are also lots of incident spots there. We're going to be running a fun layout on it too. Thank you again so much to our amazing sponsors, iRacing's Garage Talk. It was, they always give us a lot of love, and I'm really glad they're here to sponsor the races. And next week, it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm sure we might have another new driver here and there, a couple new faces, and yeah, it's only going to get great. Any last words, DJ, before we head out tonight?
No, but I'm actually gonna sneak out the back door here. Thanks for having me after my lousy performance. Hopefully, I don't have to do too many of these this season.
No worries. If you want to run some laps on Road Atlanta before you get into it, let me know. I love that track.
I need all the help I can get.
I'm happy to do it. Alrighty, my friends. Everybody, have a wonderful night. Thanks so much for watching here tonight. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye. What's going on?